When I first saw that mysterious trailer from Waldorf, I said, nah, they couldn't possibly do what I think they're doing. After being in this game for so long as I have, you develop a certain level of skepticism. I assumed it probably was a sound library for the Iridium or the M, but no, our wishes have come true. Waldorf have recreated their first ever hardware synth into a plugin, none other than the original Waldorf microwave. And this is not a quick and dirty cash grab of a modern sounding synth with the interface of an old synth slapped onto it. No, Waldorf have clearly put in the energy to replicate its firstborn down to its details, including everything that we as grown-up modern producers would consider to be undesired side effects, weird aliasing, imprecise envelopes, and so on. It is at this point where the music gear community divides up like Synth Moses parting the sea of gear. One group knows the heritage and the impact of this legendary instrument, the other group will say, another wavetable synth. Bro, I already got Serum Pigments and the one in Ableton. Why would I need another one? And they are right for asking this question. If you have something like Serum or Pigments, you don't need this at all. Trust me, your sonic base is covered. All hail Serum.
All hail Serum.
But seriously though, trigger warning. I'm about to make comparisons to illustrate what we're talking about here. Be chill, I love you all. The reason why anyone would want something like this is entirely about having a refined taste. Let me explain what I mean about that. Let's say you are drinking a glass of wine, but that whole thing surrounding wine, you don't really care about that. You know it's red and you like the taste. That's good enough for you. You don't care about the year, the grape, the region, or the person who owns the vineyard. You just enjoy the wine. Just like most people are with synthesizers. It sounds good, I don't care why. Everybody is happy. The other group is the exact opposite. They know everything about the wine, including the tools they are using to collect the grapes with. The first group feels this is a complete waste of time, and the second group find this fascinating to the extreme. Without feeling the slightest of shame, I admit I belong to the latter group, and as soon as it was clear Waldorf had released a microwave, I bought it without hesitation. This is one of the instruments I've been wanting to own for a large part of my grown-up life. But let's go back to the basic question. What is this thing? This mythological, revered instrument must have some very unique technical marvels up its sleeve to have reached its legendary status. Actually, no. This is really basic stuff. You got two oscillators, a filter, a couple of envelopes, two LFOs, and that's pretty much it. My younger self would have been able to whip something like this in Reactor or even synth-edit in moments. But here is the thing. Anyone can cook up some pasta, and while that's fine for stuffing your belly, with some knowledge about ingredients and how to prepare it, you can make something simple into something fantastic. The beauty lies in the details. And the details of the microwave are peculiar, to say the least. But now we are getting ahead of ourselves. Making sounds with a microwave is straightforward. There is an init button at the top, so you can easily begin your new sonic adventure without looking for that among the factory presets. Good! Start by selecting a wavetable, adjust the amp envelope, the filter, add a second oscillator, and that's the basics of it. Wavetable synths are all about movement, especially movement in the oscillator section. And you can modulate the wavetable scan with stuff like velocity, aftertouch, LFOs, and a quite advanced envelope. There are 88 wavetables, including 24 user wavetables, where you can sculpt your own ones. There is no way to import your own wavetables from something like Serum or Hive, but I'm not sure if I want that even if I could. Importing wavetables would be cool, but also kind of break the sound of the microwave. One of the highlights is that you can emulate both analog filters from the first two revisions. And while they sound a bit the same, the first filter is my favorite. The second one doesn't have the same oomph, but it has its uses. For more history about the microwave, I would really recommend you to watch the in-depth video from Waldorf. It's synth nerdery at its finest, and I mean that as a good thing. It's incredibly interesting. The envelopes are also something that adds to the character of the microwave. Again, please watch the Waldorf video. They explain the reasons for this as the choice of a processor not being fast enough to keep up. This is the reason for the slightly sloppy and slightly imprecise envelopes. If you know how slippery weird the envelopes are in the Wasp synth, it's in a similar ballpark with a microwave. Again, when talking about my favorite mono, the Wasp, you know how strange the LFO behaves when pushed hard. You can actually get similar effects with the microwave. Let the LFO modulate the wavetable and push it as far as you can, and weird things start to happen. There are many small details that doesn't make any sense when comparing it with modern synths. For example, you got two oscillators that you can set individual pitch and detune, but both oscillators share the selected wavetable. Each oscillator can use a different wave in the wavetable, but not different wavetables. While this might be a facepalm for some, for me that opens up the gates of inspiration. It reminds me a lot of how I have to think when making sounds for UHI Repro or Diva. You constantly find yourself in situations where you can't do exactly what you want. So, to get close, you have to think. You have to innovate. And from that mindset always comes good sounds. I also really like that both oscillators can be pitched individually, not just the second oscillator. So you can set oscillator 1 to -2 semitones and the second one to +2 semitones. By the way, all the sounds you hear in this review was made by me and you can download them from my Patreon. $1 per month, lots of cool stuff already there and it's constantly growing. The biggest complaint I've seen is many feel the microwave should have a more advanced preset browser. The existing browser works fine, but is basic, and I can absolutely see that many want Waldorf to take inspiration from the UHI browsers, which are some of the best on the market in terms of features without it being overly complex. But yeah, improvements could be made, and this is one area where a better browser could make a big impact for usability. In fact, since Waldorf is playing the nostalgia card here, I think they should lean into the legacy factor even harder. They should take inspiration from the M1 and WaveStation plugins by Korg, which gives the feeling like browsing a museum of all their included preset and expansion cards. The presets in the microwave goes from old school sounds that reminds you of its origins to contemporary and edgy. My personal favorites are the presets by Rapid Flow, you know, the guy who is behind the production template for Ableton Live. Really nice presets. Talking about Waldorf and plugins, there is something that needs to be discussed. And that is that Waldorf have been taking lots of flack during the last couple of years for not giving their plugins the attention they deserve. The community have had this feeling that Waldorf comes up with a great idea, releases it, and pretty much leaves it in the state it came in. But by the looks of it, it seems it's a different story with this release. Waldorf have been more active on forums. They also started an open beta program, which is a really clever move. Nothing more will win over a grumpy and ignored crowd by being open and willing to listen. Rumors have it we'll see a monophonic mode and maybe even a syncable LFO in future updates. Let your voices be heard. I think Waldorf is listening closely to your input on this one. Is there anything I am missing from the plugin? Well, I am a sucker for plugins with built-in effects. As a sound designer, I found them to be as valuable as having different flavors of filters. I don't blame Waldorf for not including effects. I understand their concept of keeping the plugin as close to the original as possible. But that being said, UHI manages to do this very well by letting the user switch off the entire effects section if they want to. And to be fair, the Prophet 5 never came with built-in distortion, tape saturation, reverb, chorus or delay. Yet Repro is regarded as a masterpiece. Having effects that matches the era of the synth is something I always felt enhances the experience. If you don't like it, just disable it. If Waldorf would add just a reverb, delay and maybe a chorus, I would absolutely pay for that in a future update. Here, just listen what happens when you add some old Valhalla vibe to it. Just perfection. I also miss an arpeggiator, which is really surprising as it's something I normally don't care too much about. But in this case, it would be fun to pair it up with the calibration menu, where you can set the cutoff and resonance for each of the available 8 voices. You can of course do this in your DAW, but having presets doing this directly would have been even better. Before I finish my review, I just want to mention one more thing that Waldorf should be applauded for. They included the multimode. For you who don't know, multimode was a way back in the day where you could set up your instrument to play more than one sound on different MIDI channels, or all of them on one channel. In other words, you can easily combine your sounds into cool stacked combinations. That function is here, and even if you're not a sound designer by heart, combining presets is a simple way to create very cool sounds. As you probably already have guessed, I think the microwave is an excellent plugin. So much so it directly jumped up to my top 5 most important releases of the year, right next to Imposcar 3, which interestingly enough embraced the power of wavetables just a few months back. Waldorf gave this plugin all the love it deserved, and I'm so happy Waldorf did this. Sure, there are areas where it could be improved, but all the important things are there. The imprecision of the old circuitry create a slight sense of I don't really know what's going on, which for me is a real pleasure as I feel more like I'm being taken on a ride by the synth itself. It's like I say, hey, let's go to the left, and the microwave says, nuh-uh, we're climbing up this tree now. Waldorf paid lots of attention to get the old authentic vibe from it, and that have really paid off. It just sounds gorgeous. And again, a project like this shows that perfection is severely overrated, and numbers of features often just muddle the waters. While plugins like Serum and Pigments win any day in terms of features, the microwave dominates as an instrument with its own personality and character. Waldorf and everyone who worked on this project deserves the highest praise. By reviving this old legendary synth with this amount of detail warms my heart. This one is a keeper. 5 sausages out of 5.